area.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a hill, right? Where all of a sudden, bro, all these mansions started appearing. And we were like, what the, like what the hell? This was in a matter of not even like 5 years, dude. This was like from one day to the next, it feels like. And a lot of them were people from California that came in, sold their house over there, $1 million, and came here and bought like 3 houses.
Mm-hmm.
So do you
Yeah.
see a lot of that here, or are you still seeing it a lot?
I, yeah, I think maybe not quite as much, but still,
Mm-hmm.
still quite a bit. Certainly more so than 5 years ago or before that.
Mm-hmm.
I've been licensed 9 years, so I could
Oh
say
yeah.
I've been, I guess, in the game, I guess, whatever, for 9 years or
Mm-hmm.
knowing about this. Because prior to that, was you don't really pay attention to stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, still going on.
So anybody who's like trying to get a house right now, like what route would you say would be the best? Like save up for a percentage down, because then there's a lot of programs out there.
Mhm.
Maybe you're a little bit more knowledgeable than me on it. What would you recommend for anybody trying to buy their first house?
No, I think yeah. So definitely a lot of programs, including like zero down payment programs. But I would recommend saving. Usually, it's going to be like 3.5% of the down payment. So,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, the average house about 250. So you're going to need about $7,000, $8,000. So I know it's maybe not that easy to save up, but if you can have that saved up, you're probably in the best position, just in case you need it. If you don't need it, well then, great.
Yeah, it's
You
better
can
for you.
never
Yeah.
have, extra money, right? And
Yeah.
you might want to finish the house or do other things. But yeah, there'll be, because not only the down payment that you might have or might not, there's like prepaid stuff that you could pay ahead of time, right? Like you could pay your first year home insurance ahead of time, 3 months worth of property taxes. You'll get that money back. You'll never lose it. It stays in your account
Mm-hmm.
whenever that account closes. If you refinance, you sell your house, or you pay it off, you get that money back. But you do have to put it in initially, right? But I
Mm-hmm.
would say right now and September 18th, the Federal Reserve is going to reconvene and probably drop the rates even more, which is good for the
Yeah.
consumers and even the sellers. But right now, the builders, new construction,
Mm-hmm.
is probably the best way to go right now, for the most part, generally speaking, because they're giving you a lot of incentives. They give you a lot of money to buy the rate down, to for sure cover your closing costs, and sometimes
Wow.
the extra money that'll help towards your prepaids. So, um,
So building a house right now was better than actually just buying a house, you would say.
what building it or buying it from the builders, like let's just say Saratoga, Classic American, Palo Verde, all these builders, right?
Mm-hmm.
They give you all this money.
Oh
Um,
wow.
they're kind of like, I, there's a lot of similarities and some differences, but like maybe like buying a car for the most part. Like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's good to go buy from the dealership because you're getting rebates, incentives, 0% down programs, interest, and all these kinds of things.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not as better buying it from a private seller who already, took some of that depreciation of the vehicle, stuff like that. It kind of
Mm-hmm.
depends. It's a case by case, but generally speaking, right now, it's best to go to the new home builders because of everything they're giving you. Once the rates start dropping even more and more buyers start coming out, the supply and demand, then they're gonna stop giving things like that. And then at that point, it might not be the best route to go. Maybe it's a private seller at that point.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you know or saw, like during COVID, for example, there was so many people buying
Mm-hmm.
and there was a big shortage of homes that the builders were not giving you all the stuff they're giving you right now. Some of
Mm-hmm.
them they wouldn't even give you a refrigerator
Oh,
for a couple of
wow.
things. They didn't have to because people were like, I don't care if it doesn't have a fridge, I'll just buy
I
it.
just want to
That's
buy the
fine.
house. Yeah.
That so obviously business wise, and they were having a hard time getting refrigerators because there was a shortage of them. So it was a
Mm.
pain in the butt for someone to get refrigerators. So like, man, I'm struggling to find a fridge. I know a local builder here had to the one of the foremen or managers had to drive out to California. I'm sorry, to Arizona to get refrigerators out there to come and deliver them to the people that they had promised a refrigerator.
Wow, that bad?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So
Damn.
they stopped giving you all this. Right now they're giving you refrigerators, they're giving you money, they're giving you everything. And that's gonna go away at some point. So
Yeah, and okay, the next question I had and what I really wanted to ask today, bro, is because I got into the wholesale game, right, for a little bit,
yeah.
and the reason I got into it is because I mean it was everywhere. Like you see advertisements, these people trying to sell you programs, stuff like that, and it seemed so easy. You know what I mean? And when I got into the actual game, I was like, dude, what the hell did I just get into? You know what I mean? And I think for a realtor, seeing it as a realtor's perspective, And actually, when I started, we kind of connected, and you were one of the coolest realtors that I met in a sense of you were willing to help me. You were willing to kind of like, let's work together, or whatever. But that wasn't the case with a lot of them.
Yeah,
Just
no.
because they felt like, they were trying to get cut off, or they were trying to cut, cutting off the middleman pretty much. Do you see that as a threat? Anybody coming in as a wholesale, a sub two, stuff like that, where they don't need a license to actually buy or sell homes? So do you see it as a threat?
No, personally, no, not personally.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, I guess generally speaking, most realtors, or a good percentage, right? I couldn't give you, but a good
Uh-huh.
chunk of us have misconceptions, maybe I would say, or they're not educated enough. And I don't blame them. Like on the investing side, like creative finance, wholesale, sub to all that.
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of just shut off from it, like, oh, I don't know enough, then it's probably a bad deal, and I don't want to work with them or do anything, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Now, as you know, some of these investors that do all sorts of strategies, right, sub to all this, some of that is predatory, right? They kind of take advantage of the consumers,
Yeah.
and that, or some people, some certain investors are that way, and then that leaves a sour taste for everybody else, right? But it's
Mm-hmm.
just like anything. There could be a bad doctor. You might have a bad experience with your doctor, and now you think all doctors are the same way. That's not the case, but that was just your experience, right? Or you go to Walmart and the checkout clerk that was mean to you, and now you say, "Oh, Walmart, stay away from Walmart. They're bad." Maybe it's just that one-time deal, right?
Yeah,
But
you have that bad experience.
unfortunately, the whole investor group, kind of wholesalers, all that get wrapped up into that.
Mm-hmm.
But no, no, I think, I mean, just know enough and kind of know what they do. Just like just like us realtors. I mean, some people say like, no, realtors, they don't do anything for you. They charge so much money. All they do is stick a sign in your yard and sign a couple paperwork, and they get paid thousands of dollars for doing nothing. I mean, that's not the case. It's just what those people.
That's
I
their
mean,
job.
they
Yeah, that's
know.
what they do.
Other
Mm-hmm.
people have the complete opposite. Like, no, thanks to my realtor, I bought a house because I didn't know. I was afraid I was going to rent or whatever. I was putting it off. They guided me. They showed me, and I was able to buy a house for no money down or whatever the case may be. And thanks to them.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, I mean, there is some, I guess, advantages towards it. You know what I mean? If you're the buyer or the actually seller of it, because sometimes there is no way out. I mean, one thing that I did like of the whole scenario is that people that don't have credit, that you can do kind of like a wrap or something like that, where you can kind of help them lease it yourself. Can you elaborate a little bit on that? Just because I'm very, very not, I'm not super knowledgeable in it. If you're familiar with it, you know what I
on the
mean,
what, like on the
on
wraps
the
or?
wraps and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I always tell people, for example, the buyers, I always tell them, hey, there's
Mhm.
multiple ways to buy a house, many ways, and I probably don't even know them all. And if I don't, I'll find somebody that does, right? I have a lot of investor partners like you or other people.
Mhm.
And I said, but if you really want to buy a house, there's always a way. Even if you have bad credit, you're here illegally, your identity got stolen, whatever it is, there's always a way. Some of that involves owner finance, wraps, or creative finance, right? But there's always a way.
Mhm.
And of course, a traditional way where you go get qualified for a loan from your bank, your lender, right? You go through a real estate agent, or maybe not even through a real estate agent, but it's on the market, you buy it, you go through title. That's more traditional. But yeah, if you don't, I think the easiest one is like owner finance, right? Because the owner is not gonna check. It's pretty much the same situation as you're buying it from you're gonna get qualified through a bank or a lender, but the bank or the lender in this case is the actual owner, so he's not gonna check your credit or employment history. But not that it's a catch, but the one thing with that, it's very flexible and easy to buy. Anybody can buy it, but you normally will need about 20 to 30% down.
Mhm.
And like I said, even if it's $250,000 house, you're talking about 40, $50,000
40K.
that you need.
Mhm.
It's not easy to have. But there are some people that have a business and a truck and whatever it is, and they got the money. It's just the credit's bad. They went through a divorce, whatever it is, and then well then perfect. Like you could either maybe repair your credit, take some time, and then get qualified for a loan to buy your house, or if you have the money now, you could buy the house right now, owner finance. Those are still open accounts or like a lease wrap, right? That just
Mhm.
means that you're kind of taking over somebody else's note, like somebody else's payments.
Payments. Mhm.
You got to be careful with those because make sure that everything's in writing, like
Mhm.
anything else, that everything's in writing because then there's no misunderstandings as to, I don't know, who the payments are going to or how much is going to
Yeah, it's easy,
principal.
easy, easy to get screwed
Yeah,
over in that
exactly.
sense.
You just
Mhm.
got to be careful. But as long as it's in writing and everything's good, maybe it goes through a title company for security, right? For both the seller and the buyer, then
Mhm.
that's the way to go. Those types of accounts, also owner finance, normally your rate's going to be a little bit higher. or sometimes the lease wraps, you're getting the rate that whatever they were kind of stuck with, whatever they had. Although some of those are great, right? 2%, 3% right now. So
Yeah.
that's a big
Well,
thing.
right. The average what is like 7% right now, 10%.
And also they dropped it was about maybe a couple months ago. Right now we're
Mm-hmm.
at a 5 point like
Oh
7.
wow. Well, I mean, it's still, but compared to before COVID, it was like 2, 3, right?
I mean, so before COVID it was about a 4.
A 4. Okay.
And then during COVID they got all the way down to like the 2.6s, 2.2s.
Well, I mean, just the fact that it's so, I mean, there's no excuse. Like if you want a house, you can
Exactly.
get a house. Like I
Exactly.
feel like now there's so many different ways, and including the programs that you just mentioned yourself, just for somebody who's a first time buyer, who does have that credit. And even if you don't, I think there is another path, like the
Hmm.
ones you just mentioned. Now, I do want to move on, just talking about buying a home, owning a home, to our home now here in El Paso, bro. Okay, I talked about this in my previous episode, and I want to talk to it about you just to see your perspective of it. Did you grow up here?
Yeah,
Yeah, born and
grew up
raised.
in Socorro, huh?
Okay. Oh, Socorro. Even Socorro,
Socorro.
there's grown so much. I
Oh yeah,
was I was there what like 2 months ago, bro, and I was like, dude, what the hell? They even have a Peter Piper here now, but
exactly.
it's so big now. I guess it's starting with that is how do you see or what do you think of the progression that El Paso has made here in the last 10 years? It's grown so much, the good and the bad. What do you think?
It has, but I think generally speaking, even Socorro, as much as it's grown, um, I would say maybe hasn't grown as much as it could have. But I don't know much about the political side, but I know there's
Mm.
some of our leaders, city councils and all that kind of do put a stop or make it hard to open up new business like that Great Wolf Lodge and all that.
Oh
But
yeah, yeah.
but nonetheless, still has grown a lot.
Mm.
In new construction though, like the new houses being built, um, if you looked at Realtor.com and they had us at the beginning of this year, they had
Mm.
El Paso as the number one city for the most new construction growth in the nation.
Oh
And sure
wow.
enough, and I'm sure you've seen it, like the Northeast is booming with
Oh yeah.
houses, and the Far East
Mm-hmm.
side, everywhere.
Or what is it?
Horizon, Socorro areas, some areas in Socorro
Mm-hmm.
are getting like new houses built.
Yeah, East Lake. Well, I saw a video you
Another
posted.
crazy.
East Lake is getting all these restaurants, and yeah, I mean, my wife, we live in the West Side. She travels all the way to Horizon, and that's where she works, right? And yeah, she's like, you go over there, and it doesn't even feel like you're in El Paso
Hmm.
anymore. It's a whole totally different, atmosphere or vibe, and it's cool, man. It's good to see. Like I said, we grew up in an El Paso where it was so small, and like it had small town vibes, and I think now we're seeing it grow so much, and even the West Side, bro. Yeah, the West Side is growing so much, and it's good to see. The growth is good, but then we do have that bad side, right? So I see a lot of crime. Crime is up. You see a lot of stuff going on with the immigration things, right? I mean, I look before anything, I have nothing against immigration, dude. But I
Right.
mean, a lot of my family came here as immigrants, in the '60s. So my thing is just the violence that comes with it. What do you think of it? I mean,
The
you see
fu-
the Venezuelan gang taking over the Gateway Hotel downtown and
right.
stuff like that.
Yeah. So unfortunately, that's I guess that's the bad end of the immigration, right? Because a lot of positive to it, but
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's the bad end, like the violence, and that could be with anybody, and it's not even a particular country. It could be
Mm-hmm.
anything, right? Terrorists, all that. So that's a bad part of it.
I think it's Ohio where they're eating like the the cats or the
I
pets.
just kind of learned about that after the debate. I had
Yeah,
no
I
clue, so
saw
I'm
it.
not even too informed on that. But apparently somebody did, or they are. I'm not
Yeah.
sure, but I know the city manager out there was talking about that from
Hmm.
Ohio. I don't know,
Yeah, I think it was
but yeah, that's a
people.
bad. That's unfortunately the bad end of it. The violence, like with anything else. There's pros and
Hmm.
cons to everything, but yeah, that's the unfortunately the violence, and I guess not that they're immigrants, but like the homeless, for example, but that's the bad end of like in LA stuff like that, and all
Oh
the
yeah, yeah, yeah. But that one's been going on for a while, dude. I
yeah.
mean, like I have family over there, and every time I go over there, it's like it kept getting bigger and bigger. I haven't been over there in a while, just because I don't know that probably Disneyland would be the only reason I would go,
Mhm.
But yeah, it just feels like it's getting worse and worse and worse. Hopefully it gets better, right? I mean, when I was young, I think California was a destination place, you know, like vacation stuff like that. And now it feels like it's shifted to Mexico. You know, like I see a lot of people going to Mexico now for vacations, and I mean, of course, it's beautiful, you know. But I remember it used to be like Florida, California, and so I mean, it sucks to see the country kind of being depleted to where you know we have that problem and just homelessness and stuff like that. I guess what's your political view of it, and not Democrat or Republican, you know, just kind of like what areas of opportunities do you see that we as a country can get better
Man, it's a tough one. Yeah, so I just know like some people don't like that much government control or regulations. Um, I mean, I would say almost nobody likes that, but I think some
in?
people are
Yeah.
used to it or they depend on that, so they kind of maybe don't know better or they're used to it that way. But I think for the people that are like leaving California stuff like that is that's because I ask them, right, and it's not that I agree or not, but they'll say, "Oh no, man, it's I used to love obviously California, the weather and the place is beautiful, the city, no complaints about that, but the government, that's what they say, the government, they're just getting too crazy, too regulated, everything that we just and the cost of living, you know, but the cost of living has always been high, but
Mm,
like we just rather move from there too, even if it's another area where the cost of living is still kind of high, you know, the taxing and all that.
yeah.
There's retirement communities in Florida, for example. It's a big popular spot because, of course, another beautiful place,
Mhm.
weather and everything, but the taxes and everything are much less. So when you're retired, you're trying to keep your money and not have to spend it on taxing and property tax and stuff like that. So
Mhm. No, yeah, I totally agree. And I mean, that's the thing, right? So a lot of the people that I talk to, and that's their fear, is that a lot of people are coming here to Texas from other states and
mm,
everything like that, and they feel like they're gonna bring in those political, you know, political
yeah,
views. Like
that's true.
a lot of people from California, well, a lot of Texans, I'm sorry, that I know are like, man, if these people are gonna come, they, you know, I hope they don't turn it into California or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, I'm California, my Texas.
Yeah, you've seen it. It's all over
Yeah,
social
yeah.
media. And I mean, to a sense, I don't want to sound like, but I mean, being a Texan, there is that, you know, pride to it.
There
You
is,
know what I
yes.
mean? There really is. And I remember one of my teachers back in, you know, high school, he would be like, yeah, you know, when you go to Europe or anything and you say you're from Texas, you get more respect than when you say that you're
Really?
from the United States or anywhere else.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, there is that pride that comes with it, and I hope our state stays, you know, I guess just the freedom of it, you know, because there is that freedom of it. I hope it stays like that. Now, you being a realtor, bro, you've been doing it for 9 years. You said um, I did it for a while, and I'm still kind of dabbing, you know, here and there. But I know it's a difficult job. It's something that you got to be constantly be doing, you know, marketing and stuff like that. You're a family man, so how do you find the balance of just giving her your 100% here and 100% with your family?
No, it's hard. And I'll be honest. Sometimes I guess I don't even have that balance. It's more on the real estate side. Unfortunately, sometimes because it can get quite busy
Mm,
or overwhelming. Not overwhelming in a sense, but like it just time consuming. And it's not a complaint. It's just that there's sometimes some people. I mean, there's a difference. For example, and I know you can relate a little bit. You might have somebody that wants to buy a house, and then they're already qualified or get qualified immediately, and then we go see one house and love it, and they put in a contract, and like a month and a half later they close, right? And then that would say not that that's easy, but like that didn't take that much time. There's people that don't qualify, and you have to help them because that's our job. Help them get their credit in order, whatever it is that's going on. That might take a couple weeks, months, and then they're ready. Then we go see houses, and then we see 20, 30 till they find the right one, and then they
mm,
buy it, right? So that's two complete like the outcome is the same. You had to help the buyer buy a home, but two different routes. Like this one just took a lot of your time, and that's fine. And this one was kind of quicker, right? So sometimes you get those, and that's where all that time obviously because I can't split myself into two or anything like that. So that's some of that time is taken away from the family and stuff like that. But
mm.
I mean, yes, try to find a
A
good
good
balance. But
balance.
sometimes things like that are a little bit beyond the control.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And you know what? I think that comes with just being a man. You know, like you gotta sacrifice that time to. And it's crazy, bro, because like me personally, I've always tried to, and I'm sure you have too, right? try to keep that life work balance, and it's super difficult because at the end of the day, you're the main provider of your family, so you have to kind of, so I watch videos like how to do it, or what's the best way to
Uh-huh.
do it, and a lot of it is like, okay, well, you got to have the balance, right, and you can't forget about your family, but it's the effects that it has, right, the effects that it has, which is like it's hard, I guess. It's either, okay, we go to to Mexico vacation, or you guys see me 5 times a day, 5 times a
Right.
week.
Yeah.
So it sucks. It's a crappy thing to kind of like offset or off balance. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So I guess, what's the biggest challenge that you've had as a realtor, bro? I know helping people out is a challenge, but what's a time that you were like, man, this is the most difficult part that I've been in my 9 years here? If you can share.
Yeah. Well, so I'll preface with I was coming from like a law enforcement background that also took a lot of time.
Oh
So
wow.
luckily, my family is supportive of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like me being away for work, like they understand that. Well, at the end of the day, we still have to eat, pay the mortgage, stuff like that, and
Mm-hmm.
we did live like a quite expensive lifestyle, right? So you get those perks, but then we need to pay for it, right? It's not free. So the understanding of that, and this has been going on for like 16 years already.
Mm-hmm.
So they're understanding like, okay, well, he might not be home as much, but he's working and providing, and so they're understanding. They're good. Right now, for example, now all three of my girls are in school, so that kind of helps because even if I was home right now, I wouldn't be able to see them, right? So then I use that time to come here and do my
Do
real estate
something.
stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
afternoons hopefully see them a little bit more, you know. And but the biggest challenge, I guess, is once I left law enforcement, it's just doing this full time. Like now that it's commission based, well, you lose that comfort. Like, okay, well, if I do nothing today, I'm still getting paid
You
every
still
2 weeks,
get paid,
right?
yeah.
And probably the less I do, the more I get paid in other jobs. But this is a complete opposite, right? I could do nothing. So I guess the biggest challenge is structuring my time because I'm my own boss essentially, right? So right now I could be on
Mm-hmm.
the golf course and then tomorrow and all week be golfing and that'd be nice. But
Mm-hmm.
I probably wouldn't, you know, do anything for my job and I'd probably get no money, right? And then when the bills come due, well then nobody's gonna help me there, right? So it's just
Mm-hmm.
managing, just having a schedule, managing, okay, well, as much as I have to be on the golf course, I gotta maybe set a day aside for that or something else, but then the rest of the days I need to come in, do marketing or make some calls, follow up with people, stuff like that.
So that's my next question, brother. I mean, look, it seems like everybody and their mother is becoming a realtor nowadays. Like I
Yeah.
see it everywhere. Like it's like, or I'll ask people like, "Oh, what do you do?" "Oh, I do this," and I always sell houses or stuff like that. And that opens up with the wholesaling and all that because, like I said, everybody can do it. How do you stay ahead of the competition? What do you do that you feel is giving
So
you that extra edge?
yeah, I got you. So I've been on both sides. I'm not talking bad about anybody, but and there's always exceptions. But I've been on both sides. Where when I was doing law enforcement, real estate was my part time, and that's fine, and you can still be very dedicated. But I really wasn't because I really didn't need it, and plus the law enforcement was taking so much of my time, right? No
Mm-hmm.
excuses, but I kind of use that like, okay, well, I don't even have the time, which I could have, but and now on the opposite side, it's a difference. So whether you're part time or not, for all these real estate agents that are, and anybody will tell you, that are not working this like a full time job or dedicating that much job, like
Mm-hmm.
the rest of us will just kind of just blow them out of the water, because I guess you'd have to be in it to kind of know, but there's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of like calls you're gonna make, follow up with people, just be there for them. Just
Mm-hmm.
dedicate time for them, whatever it is on the aspect. Even after they buy the house, the good agents will still keep in touch with them and help them out. It's not just about, hey, you're everybody else looking to buy or sell. I mean, that's the generic or the easy part, but
Mm-hmm.
that's not what you do. You still help them out, protest their taxes. You still help them out, remind them. Like as a matter of fact, right now, people that bought a house maybe in the last 2, 3 years, maybe, and that your interest rate is higher than a seven or higher. Right now, already you can refinance
Refinance,
and,
yeah.
and save some money, right? So most people probably won't know or won't follow up with that. But if your agent or somebody calls you and tells you, hey, you might want to look into this. I mean, they remember that, and you're helping them out. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the kind of things you need to do. Put the time and dedication to stand out above the other ones. So
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm not saying I do this. I'm trying to, and I could do better. There's always room for improvement, but
Mm-hmm.
at least I know. a lot of the actions you need to take to be successful.
To
And
move
yes,
forward.
I don't know the exact number, but there's like 3,000 or so agents in El Paso alone
Really?
licensed.
Oh, way.
But really, if you think about those, a lot of those are they're licensed. Some of those are not even practicing real estate anymore. They're still licensed because normally your license is good for 2 years and then it expires. But some of those people already, for whatever reason, already gave it up. They're like, no, I'm gonna go back to my 9 to 5 job or do something else. Technically, they're still licensed, but they're really not practicing.
Practicing it.
So I don't know. Maybe out of those 3,000, there's let's say 2,500 that actually are practicing still.
Mhm.
Out of those 2,500, for example, some of those are part time and they're not really doing it or doing much time. It's just like, hey, if you tell me to help you, I'll help you. But other than that, I'll focus on my other job. So then maybe out of those 3,000 down to 2,500, and out of those, I don't know, 2,000 or 1,500, 1,800, something like that, are actually people that
Like
are
going
doing this
hard.
every day, going hard kind of deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
No, and I agree, bro. There's a and I compare what you just said right now. It reminded me of a car salesman that I worked with a couple years ago, and it was a Casa. I don't know if you know it's called Casa Nissan still, but this guy, dude, to this day,
it
we
is.
bought this car. My wife bought her car in 2015. Until this day, bro, this dude sends us birthday cards, like
Yeah, right.
and never does he say, "All right, you ready for a new car?" And dude, that's like I look at. I mean, I've been in sales my whole life, bro, and I see it, and I'm like, hell yeah, like this is dope. And whenever we do need a new car, if well, not me because I don't like Nissans, but if my wife wants to, stick with a Nissan or whatever, then that's where we're gonna go, dude. Because it feels good, dude, to
Hmm.
get those messages too, and it's like, oh shit, this guy still remembers it, and he probably does it. He probably has it on a system where it's like, okay, but still, to go that extra mile, it's still pretty
Hmm.
cool. You said you were in law enforcement, bro. What drove you out of it, and what did you do?
This real estate. Hmm.
Yeah. Was it just the like money wise, or you just got tired of it? Did you see something crazy that
No,
you're
no.
like, fuck this,
So,
I don't want
so
to
I
do
was
it?
I was told I could not do both. I couldn't stay in the law enforcement and the real estate. So I chose this way, this route.
Wow. And it was PD or just something else?
Border Patrol.
Border Patrol? Oh, okay. Damn,
And
dude.
it's not easy,
Uh-huh.
but I mean, I really didn't hesitate. And it hasn't been easy, but
Mm. It's a totally different.
it is.
That's a totally different shift. That's why I was curious to like, what the hell. But I mean, pues yeah, right now I can imagine being a border patrol agent is super difficult. No, like it's everything going on. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah. Certainly. The last few years have been more challenging as a border patrol agent. More restrictions on the job and that kind of deal. But I mean, it happens.
Yeah. No, and overall, I think mental health is like you've got to be happy with what you're doing. Not that you weren't. I'm just saying if you left it for this, it means you're a little happier here. I mean, my perspective of it at least. Um, yeah, but I thought you were gonna say PD because I really
No.
want, dude. I still to this day like and thank all officers, El Paso Police Department. Thank you for what you do, but it just feels like the objective is tickets, bro. Like you
Meet the
see,
quota. All right.
yeah, bro. Like you see more people like giving tickets than actually, out in the Venezuelan gangs and stuff like that. That's
Mhm.
why. And I know there's a shortage of police right now, but it's like it's a little frustrating to like you're dealing with stuff like this, and it's like there's all this stuff going on. Do
There
you?
is, or sometimes I don't know on the PD side so much, but sometimes they have restrictions. So even if they
Mhm.
wanted to focus on a certain, like I don't know, the Gateway Hotel or something, I don't know, but a certain crime or certain area, they're restricted and they're told not to focus on something else. So whether
Is
that's right or wrong, I don't know, but there's restrictions, right?
yeah.
I know some things with police departments, border patrol, all that sometimes like pursuing vehicles, right? Chasing vehicles, stuff like that. There's restrictions on them. I know
Mm.
sometimes you watch on TV like, well, just pit maneuver the guy or throw the spikes, stuff like that. I mean, there's certain restrictions that come to that, right? You just can't throw spikes anywhere, or
Yeah, it's
so
totally
that's
different.
why there's restrictions. So to their defense, all law enforcement like they have certain restrictions sometimes that they have to abide by. So
Yeah, no, no, I
and the
totally
public to us, we
understand.
might not know that, so we see like, man, why didn't this guy do this? Why didn't he go
Yeah,
here?
like why are they doing
Why
this?
don't they answer? want to respond to this call? Well, there's restrictions sometimes. So.
Yeah. Yeah, but there's a lot of calls too that is like, what the hell, you know? But okay, and I'm super intrigued, dude. I'm super intrigued, and I have to ask, being border patrol, bro. Did you ever? What's the craziest thing that you saw there? Like, did you ever? And I'm asking because I had a buddy who did it, and like he would see like people actually drowning and stuff like that, you know, and it was like, what the hell, dude? So I'll ask you, what's the craziest thing that you saw when in your tenure there in the border patrol? If you can talk
Um,
about it, if you can, then
yeah,
sorry.
no, no. Then I guess just so yeah. Unfortunately, some drownings. I didn't personally. I didn't witness like somebody actually drowning, but I know some of my friends or colleagues did.
Mm.
Some got saved, luckily, and then some didn't. Um, but yeah, unfortunately, sometimes they drown, and sometimes the agents don't know, or they're not there, or nobody, and then later they gets reported, and then they're looking for the body, and it's underwater. You can't see it, but then obviously with the gas and all that, they kind of float back up. Sorry, don't mean to be gross or anything, but
No, no,
days
it's
after
cool.
we're not downstream, and then the body comes out, and they find
Yeah,
it. Got to call the forensic and police, sheriff, and they come out, retrieve it. So that was crazy in the sense that, I mean, you're seeing a dead body really, and somebody's family member. 'Cause a lot of times
yeah.
it was the family that was apprehended, or they told border patrol, "Hey, my dad or my uncle, whatever, drowned or is drowning, help him." And then we're looking for him, and days later, he
Mm.
or she, there they are. That, or of course, like just creative ways that people try to get smuggled into the country, or narcotics, drugs,
Oh, true. Yeah.
pretty creative sometimes. And I guess crazy, like ladies, now that they have the big fence, the border wall, whether you agree or not, it's pretty tall. It's like 19 feet high.
Hmm.
Like people falling off of that and severely breaking limbs. Some people have even died from the fall. Like they hit their head and they died.
No,
And
pues
this is
sí.
just here locally. I'm sure other places as well, but Paso. So you've
I
seen
I've
that.
seen it, bro. Like I'm
Or
telling you,
pregnant ladies, like literally about to give birth, like coming down, and then sometimes
no
like,
way. Are you
yeah,
serious?
yeah. There's been instances where the person just crosses, whether it's through the wall or anywhere else, and they're already in pain or contraction, and they're rushed
What
straight to
the
the hospital.
fuck?
They're rushed straight to the hospital, get taken care of, and then later they get processed or whatever happens. But they need the medical, so they call the ambulance pretty much.
Yeah,
They get rushed straight to the hospital.
that's wild, man. That is wild. I mean, I don't know. It makes you realize how lucky we are, dude. Like
Hmm.
being here. It's people go through. I interviewed a gentleman. He was an immigrant, and he's crossed a couple of times. And I asked him, like, dude, how, if you don't mind me asking, how is the, like, the
The
path?
journey.
Yeah, the journey. Yeah. And he was like, nah, dude, it's ugly, man. You're just constantly running, walking, running, walking. If you see some movement and the guy tells you, hey, you gotta run, everybody's running. And I don't know, man. I sympathized towards it just because I was like, damn, bro. Like, I put myself in those shoes, Like, if I lived over there, would I make the fucking, Like, because yeah, dude. Like, what the hell are you gonna do over there, And a lot of people, I'm in the line, dude. I'm in the line in the sense of I think people should stay in their country and try and better it, But I know the system is against a lot of them, So it sucks. It sucks.
Hmm.
Like I said, I'm not against immigration. I'm saying do it right, but I've seen that, dude. I've seen. I'm telling you, I live on the west side. I take the border a lot, and I'll
Hmm.
see like people up
Yeah.
there, and I'm just like, what the fuck? And you see people like call, like I would never call the cops on it. I mean, I hope I don't get arrested for it, But if I see it, dude, I'm not gonna call border patrol or anything. Maybe it's wrong of me, maybe whatever. But they're already there, Like just I guess make it through. But what do you think of the whole? I don't know if you saw the new balloon that they're gonna be putting here in the New Mexico border.
No, I haven't seen that
It's like a
actually.
blimp, dude. It's a blimp, and it has like a shitload of cameras, and just it's designed for like people that get trapped or I guess are lost in the desert.
Oh,
Like it'll
okay.
help them find them or locate them, which was in a sense is good. It's a lot of money spent on that, but it is a problem. I think we can agree it is a problem right now. And I think what, like 3 years ago when all the caravans were coming through, that was a big thing. And I think we're like at, I don't know, in the debate they said it was, we're in the millions, right? Like people coming over, or I don't know if
No,
you know.
no, certainly yes.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact number, but yes.
So that's, I guess the debate. You said you saw the debate, dude. What were your thoughts
I
of
saw
it?
like the first half of it, or maybe not the half, the first quarter, and I went to the gym. So
Yeah, yeah.
I tried to follow up
I
some
saw the
clips and
highlights.
summaries afterwards, but you know, because that's interesting just to see what their stance are and what they believe or what they're running on.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And I mean, I've been very vocal of it, dude, just because, like me myself, I don't see, and I'm not red or blue, bro. I'm not. I will never show my allegiance to any of them. For me, it's just who I think is the better choice.
mhm.
And in this scenario, for me, it's Trump. I'm not saying Trump is God. I'm not saying Trump is,
The best.
yeah, isn't he? Because he's not, dude. I know he's not. But right now, he's the better choice in my perspective. I'm not gonna put you on the spot and tell you to pick, but I just wanted you to get your perspective on the debate. Like who do you see any the good views that you see from Trump and Kamala Harris?
I don't think I saw enough of it to be honest to say.
Mm-hmm.
I would think personally. I think from what I saw, and I saw maybe like the first 20 minutes, I think those couple questions where Kamala was asked a direct question and she kind of didn't really answer it and just kind of beat around the bush and said other things, and oftentimes kind of deflected and said, "Well, Trump's policy is this and that." She talked about Trump's, I guess, the bad side, which might be true or not, but
Mm-hmm.
she wasn't answering the question that was asked. And I also do get she's in a tough spot, being that she's already been in power for 3.5 years, and you're trying to run a campaign of things you're gonna fix or do better, but then you haven't done it or done much, or what have you done meanwhile? Because you're in power right now, and you're saying there's all these problems that you're gonna fix in the next 4 years. Well, what have you done right now while you're in power to try to address those? And sometimes it's not just the vice president or even the president doesn't have the say so to just, okay, I'm gonna fix this and sign it into law. That has
Mm-hmm.
to go through the House, Congress. So there's other things, but in other words, and she has a tough spot, right? She's trying to say, I'm going to fix these things, but then she also has to say, what have I done currently?
Now,
And if she
yeah,
hasn't done anything currently, then that puts her in the best spot, right?
yeah.
Because it's like, well, you're kind of lying. If she has, if she can prove, hey, I tried doing this, tried doing that, and I'm going to keep trying to do it, then that bodes well for her. But
Mm-hmm.
that's her challenge there.
Yeah, and that's where I'm at.
And the economy, I think, because, I mean, like it or not, or again, whatever party you're at, we can all agree that some of the stuff that we're paying for now is kind of getting out of hand. It's just getting more expensive. Like everything went up in price. Almost there's always appreciation. Just like houses, they go up in price every year, and
Yeah.
that's why sometimes real estate is a good investment, right? And gold normally goes up, stocks normally go up, right? That's why people invest in these kind of things because they know that generally speaking they're going to go up. It's a good investment. So everything goes up, right? We can't expect to pay 99 cents a gallon of gas anymore. I remember when I was little, I wouldn't drive obviously,
Oh
but
yeah.
you'll see 89 cents, 90 cents all day or often, right? You can't generally expect to pay that anymore. But when you're paying, I don't know, close to $5 a gallon or something, that's a little crazy. And everything just kind of went up in price so much, and our salaries didn't. And so now we're kind of behind the eight ball. We're like, man, we're just. I mean, unfortunately, I can't take a trip to a grocery store, and even if we're trying to buy the generic brand and limiting ourselves, stuff like that, a quick trip to a grocery store, it's easily $100 now.
Oh yeah, bro. Yes.
And forget about going to like Costco or Sam's. That's easily $200-300.
Mm-hmm.
And again, just trying to buy the essential stuff and a couple snacks here and there, and giving up a lot. Oh man, I'd like to buy that. But I'm gonna hold
Not
off on that. That's a
today.
luxury. Yeah, even then.
Yeah.
So that's a little unfortunate there because things went up so much and our salaries didn't. So now we gotta
Mm-hmm.
compensate for that.
Well, I seen a lot of like, I mean, I feel it. I totally see it the same way. When I go to the grocery store, I'm like, dude, what the fuck? 140 for this? Like, what the
Right.
fuck? And I've seen a lot of videos of people on TikTok and stuff like that where it's like they show the order because like if you do online ordering, right, you can see your previous
Oh
orders,
yeah, yeah,
and it's like, oh, this you for the same amount of stuff, it's nearly double, dude, and
yeah.
it's like, what the hell? And you're right. I mean, minimum wage here is still 7.25, right?
Mhm.
I'm not sure, but I think last time I checked, it is, dude. It's like,
Something like that. Yeah.
dude, how are you gonna? How the hell are people surviving off of that? and maybe it's government assistance and I don't want to go into this rabbit hole a lot, but I mean they say that, right? They say that a certain party or certain politicians want you to get this government assistance so they can control you a little bit more. Because once you're in a government assistance, pues yeah, you're limited in life. You know, you can't make a certain amount of money. You can't, do certain things that you're not free no more, really. I mentioned social media, brother, and the big thing right now is censoring. Okay, do you agree with it? Do you think there should be some censoring in Facebook, TikTok, stuff like that?
I would say I hadn't thought about this, but I would say no, generally speaking, unless it's obviously if it's something that's offensive, I don't know, improper stuff like that, of course, all day long. But
Mm-hmm.
other than that, no. I mean, that is still like our First Amendment, freedom of speech, So I would
I
say no, unless it's something,
like
racist,
crazy or
hatred,
something.
or inciting violence or something like that, then yes, absolutely. But
Mm-hmm.
and they already do that. Like, there's no need to even justify it, right? Like, if I go out there and start posting, I don't know, offensive language or nude content, whatever, they're gonna immediately remove my video, rightly so, without have to even give me justifications, right? But if they're censoring me just because, even if I'm start talking political views, I mean that's my views and that should still be respected, or religious views, whatever it is, Should I be doing that? Maybe, maybe not. That's a whole different thing,
Mm-hmm.
debate. But for them to censor it, I would say no.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I asked this on social media, bro, and one of the comments, I don't remember who it was. They did mention one thing that I was like, well, it got me thinking, right? And this is why I like posting stuff like that, because it gets the little
It's your
gerbil in
wheels
there
turning,
working,
yeah.
and it's they asked it. He said, well, when it comes to like the dark web and stuff like that, then yeah, dude, you should, because
Mm.
you have like you know kids getting abused, or women getting raped and stuff like that, where it's like stuff like that shouldn't be on the internet, and I mean, I don't know who's looking at that stuff, but it's out there, and yeah, I agree that that needs to go. Now, here's where I see it being a problem, okay? Because if they do end up censoring it, now your political views, they decide what views are out there. That's why I don't agree with it, because I think censoring it, you're giving somebody else a power to decide what is going to be shown.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So in that sense of it, I'm like, nah, that's not good, because now I can just, me being a politician, you're the head of Facebook, I can just be like, all right, here's your 10 million bucks. I don't want to see anything about this dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Like you're pretty much buying the election at that point, or anything else.
Yeah, it
Like
could be.
or in you're a realtor, right? And I see a bunch of you posting stuff, right? Wouldn't it suck if it's like, okay, cool, I give you this amount of money, we don't want to see anything from Clearview,
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So at that point, it's like, shit, you're manipulating the
Yeah.
system. So yeah, in that case, I would say, yeah, censoring is bad. I agree. There's certain things that should be out. I think it's just balance, bro. Like finding the right balance of what can be up, and just because I mean, you see OnlyFans too. You know what I mean? I think I saw a statistic where,
What do you mean I
oh,
see OnlyFans?
what's up?
What do you mean I see OnlyFans?
No, like
Go ahead.
like OnlyFans itself. I think I saw the OnlyFans models earn more than all the NBA players last year.
Oh, okay.
Dude, we're talking about billions.
Yeah.
Okay, so I see it in a sense of they're trying to censor, they're trying to get that money. It's because I feel like the government, or not the government, but the hierarchy, they see people making money, and it's like, how are we going to shut this down? This is too much. This can lead to something else.
Hmm.
So I feel like and I'm not saying OnlyFans is, there's a lot of people doing it. Like me personally, I wouldn't recommend it, but it is very profitable. You know what I mean? So I don't know. That's just my perspective of it, dude. I could be wrong, but that's just the way I see it, I guess. All right, brother. We're pretty much at that hour mark. Any last comments that you want to say to the people? If you want to advertise your tags for social media, they can hit you up to buy a home or anything else.
Yeah, absolutely. Whatever I can do to help, even if it's a second opinion, you know, like anything else, where you go to a doctor and you get diagnosed with a certain disease or whatever it is, especially if it's something serious, it's always worth getting a second opinion, right? Having a second expert and maybe giving you something different or a better solution, whatever it is. So same with real estate. We already said there's good doctors, there's good agents, bad agents, stuff like that. So always get a second opinion, I would say, and whatever I can do to help. And if it usually at the beginning of April, I help people protest the property taxes. It's just one of me, and right now, kind of last this year, I kind of had like a little team, but um, we did great. But at some point, it might be too much for us to help. But I'm still taking new people, I guess, to help protest.
Mhm.
And I, for the most part, wouldn't do like the whole job for you, like go protest, do everything. There are firms or companies that charge for that. I don't charge for it, but I'll give you what you need to go for you to submit a protest. And a lot of times you don't need to spend any time. You don't go to the meeting. A lot of times when you send everything, they send you a counter right away, and then if you accept, good. And if not, then you go to the protest. But it's definitely
So,
worth it. You'll spend like an hour of your day of your time,
mm,
unfortunately, but that 1 hour is going to be worth it. It's going to save you a good chunk of change for the most part because our taxes here, unfortunately, in El Paso, the tax rate is pretty high, and it only goes higher like year after year. So it's important that you get a good value on your home and you get taxed accordingly. I'm not saying not to pay taxes, but just pay what's fair. Um,
yeah, I'm sorry, but I have no knowledge in that. So, what do you mean by protest taxes? Like,
your property taxes, every April, your city sends you on your home or homes if you have several,
mm,
and says, "Hey, we believe your home is worth this much, and we're gonna tax you on this much." Well,
oh,
a lot of those values are incorrect, and some of those are appraised higher. And so
oh,
essentially, you're
wow,
paying extra property taxes. Again, I'm not saying don't pay taxes. It's
yeah,
pay what's fair, right? Pay what's fair. So some of us are paying extra property taxes, and if we don't protest it, we're gonna get stuck paying that higher amount. Just
oh,
to be
wow,
brief, I had a friend that was getting taxed on a two-story home, meaning a bigger home. So bigger homes have more tax than smaller homes,
mm,
obviously. He was paying taxes on a bigger home that he doesn't even own for like 7 years because they had him as a two-story home. That was an incorrect thing. And obviously, went to go protest it, easily got removed. So now he's paying adequately. So he's saved money from what he was paying. He was overpaying taxes. Unfortunately, his case, they able to give him a refund, but only for the last 5 years. So for like 2 years prior to that, he paid, and they're like, "Oh, sorry,"
damn.
like yeah, we know you overpaid, but we're sorry. We can only give you credit for
No
5 years.
refund on nothing.
So sometimes it's even that they have your wrong information, and most
Oh,
of us
wow,
citizens, we don't know all this stuff. So that's
yeah.
where a good realtor, a good person, somebody can
Mm.
kind of help and guide
Yeah,
you.
because most of us get that bill and it's like, oh, you don't want to be in trouble, so you're like, okay, yeah, I'll just pay it. Like,
Now
there's no
that
research.
value that the city gives you
Mm.
has no bearing on what your actual house is worth. Just to throw it out there, because people say like, oh, they're saying my house is worth 500,000. Oh, great, because whenever I sell it, I'm gonna sell for 500,000. That is probably not the case. Nobody's gonna look at that value. When it comes to selling it, nobody's gonna look at that value. Or the Zillow value, for example, Redfin, all
Mhm.
these websites have their values. Nobody looks at it because we know that they're incorrect for the most part.
Mm.
What's going to be the value? The agent's going to go see it, do a market analysis, and the appraiser is going to go and do the same thing, look at sales in the area, and that's going to be the value.
Yeah.
Not what Zillow says, not what the city says. And nobody's going to look at that. So if you think, oh, they have me at a high price, but that's fine because then when I sell, I'm going to get that. That's absolutely not what's going to happen. All you're doing is you're paying extra tax on that amount. And even if you do sell, you're not going to get that amount unless that is actually what your house
What
is
it's
worth.
cost? Yeah, yeah, dude. It's so difficult too to get that ARV, because like even Zillow, there's a bunch of websites that'll give you like an estimate, and usually it's like off, and a lot of people don't know it's based off like the houses around you, the value of those
And
houses.
it's just very general. If you think about it, nobody from Zillow, for example, nobody from Redfin, Realtor.com, nobody from the city has gone to your house and seen inside, see what you've done. Maybe you remodel, maybe you put
Mhm.
refrigerator there, maybe you just install tile throughout. Things that actually give you value. They don't know that. They don't see all that. They just give you a very generic value for the
For
area.
the area,
I'll,
just
I'll give a good
estimate.
example. Like in the Silver Star area, these are older homes. You could have two houses next to each other. one fully remodeled, one still looking from this, not saying beat up, but like from the 70s, the way it was built.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the fully remodeled one is worth right now about 400, 450. The other one is still like at 250. Zillow, the city just says, okay, this house is 2,500 square feet. This one is two, same value. Let's just say 400 for both. Maybe the one that's actually worth 400 is paying tax on that. Okay, that's fair. The other guy, his is worth really 250. He's paying taxes on 400,000. Just an example.
Mm-hmm.
He's paying taxes on an extra 150,000, and sometimes the figures are that much.
No, yeah. There's like like I said, when we're doing wholesaling, bro, like you would see all these houses and you're like, what the fuck, 350, 400,000 for this house? But a lot of them are like there's a lot like in the Austin area, there's a lot of historic houses and stuff like that.
Districts.
Yeah, so that's a little tough, right? Because you can't do certain things to those
There's just
houses.
restrictions to them, yeah. Just
Mm-hmm.
like on HOAs, like homeowner associations, there's restrictions, there's covenants. And for the most
Mm-hmm.
part, the new constructions, there's always covenants. Like you can't just paint your house, let's say, neon yellow or pink. It has to be more like a neutral color,
Yeah.
whites, grays, brown, stuff like that. Just certain restrictions, but
Oh, one thing I wanted to ask, dude. Future home buyers, what area of El Paso would you recommend where they can get if they're gonna buy and sell later on? What would you say is probably an area where it's gonna end up being good at the end of the day?
mm, I mean, it just depends. And I would say pretty much anything really.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just an example. Generally speaking, some people don't want to be too far from the city. So let's say some of these areas in the Northeast, like we're almost building borderlining like Chaparral, right? That's depending on where you live or you think that's quite far. Or let's say Socorro area, that's a little bit far, Clean area, right? To the city. You might say, yeah, I don't want to buy there because it's further, and when I'm gonna sell, it's not as desirable, then I have a harder time. Not necessarily because also if you're gonna buy in those areas, right now, for the most part, the houses are cheaper there. Even the same new house from the same builder, for sure it'll be cheaper. Let's say Northeast, some areas on the Far East side. So core areas, for example, Anthony, they're going to be cheaper than if they're closer to the
To the
city.
city.
You know,
Makes sense. Yeah, dude, I saw a house. I think it was like 250 in Socorro, and it was huge, bro. Beautiful house. I was like, damn, dude. But for me, that's too far, bro. Like I was raised in Central. I've always grown up, and yeah, I like to see. I like my mountain, bro. I can't.
yeah.
I
So
can't live away from the
everything will
mountain.
sell, and just
Mhm.
obviously it's going to be relative. Like I said, if you were to buy new right now, you probably get it cheap in those areas.
Mhm.
When you sell, well, then you can't sell it like if you're living on the west side either, right? So you're going to sell it accordingly, and then somebody will buy it because
Mhm.
people live. I mean, people want to live all over the place. There's some corros, some people love living there.
Yeah.
Some people love living in the Northeast. Some people love. So
Yeah. It's it's
there's a home
on.
for
It's
everybody.
yeah. It's for it. It depends on you. Yeah, you're right.
And even condition, and you know this, as bad as the house is, there's always a buyer for it.
Yeah.
As long as it's priced accordingly. I'm not saying give it away, they're cheap either. Just you price it accordingly, and there's always a buyer. Whether it's an investor, whether it's a first-time home buyer, whatever it is, there's
Mhm.
always,
That's somebody trying to buy it.
yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
But I guess in closing remarks, it's just that if I can help with anything property tax, even if it's not real estate related, like I'm not asking you want to buy or sell a home, call me only. No, no, of course not.
Yeah.
Second opinions, curious how much your house is worth, about your property taxes. You want to know more about your interest rate, how to refinance, stuff like that, just to save you money, whatever it is that we can do. And
Okay.
of course, certainly buying or selling or pointers, or you have questions like, hey, I'm interested in buying a house at some point or soon. What am I going to need to do? What kind of documentation can I prep already? Like
Mm-hmm.
that first question said about how much money should I expect to have saved?
Mm-hmm.
So things like that.
All right.
Of course, we're always here to help. So
Awesome, brother. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to hit this man up. Get yourself a new house. Thank you guys. Thank you, brother.
okay, my pleasure,
Awesome.
Victor. Thank you.
All right, bro. Thank